This is your grid heading into this Austrian Grand Prix. Of course, it is going to be Zmayo on pole position on that front row. Next to him is a newcomer to the MRL scene, and that's Ben the Bear, who me and Unicorn know is extremely rapid. Luktra in third, Alex Bido in fourth, Shenjay in fifth, Jean in sixth, Van Putten in seventh, with Yoda in eighth, Kai Bacchini in ninth, Liam in 10th. Rounding off your top 10 drivers here, Nigel in 11th, Henners in 12th, Zamis 13th, Crampy 14th, with Itza Max in the Ferrari 15th, Extreme for AlphaTauri 16th here, Hyper in 17th, Squid 18th, Jasco in 19th, and I do believe at the bottom of the grid there, that was, well, we'll have to find out in just a moment.
I think it was Fubar.
Fubar at the bottom there. Of course, it was a German flag that I was seeing. So, dry race for this Austrian/Styrian GP as we are following along with the F1 World Championship calendar. They are going to be racing once again in Austria tomorrow for the second time this season, back-to-back as well. And, well, if you didn't have an opportunity to catch the Formula One World Championship race last Sunday, I highly suggest you go find yourself some highlights because that was one to remember, and I'm hoping that tomorrow is much the same.
What amazes me is how last weekend we had one of the most entertaining races I've ever watched in F1. And then this weekend we come to the same track, the same drivers, the same cars, and the grid is completely reshuffled.
Completely reshuffled.
It's incredible.
There on screen, there is the predicted pit stop strategy here for the 100% distance race. It's a shame it goes away too quick before I can even have a chance to talk about it. But that was a very nice graphic indeed. Very cool that they implemented that here in the new release. Of course, this is the first official commentary of the new game. The graphics have been overhauled. Hopefully things are coming out clear on stream for you all. But through the grid once again, Zmayo and Ben on that front row. Luktra and Alex Bido line up behind them. Shenjay and Jean on the third row. Van Putten and Yoda fourth row here. Kai Bacchini and Liam right in the middle, as well as Nigel and Henners through in 11th and 12th. Zamis and Crampy 13th, 14th. It's a Max Extreme 15th and 16th. Hyper and Squid on that second last row of the grid with Yasko, and Fubar on the back row.
Looking at the tyre compounds, obviously a free choice up and down the grid after the wet qualifying. Only 5 drivers have opted for the medium compound tyre. There's that strategy graphic again, at least on my screen. Zmayo on pole has opted for the medium compound tyres, potentially trying Max Verstappen tried on Sunday, as well as Shenjay, Van Putten, Zamis and Fubar all opting for the medium compound tyre as well. So everyone else on the softs, no hards present at the start of this race. As to whether we see them later on here at the Red Bull Ring is yet to be seen. But strategy, like we said, is going to play a very important role here.
All right.
In the 71 laps we have Austria.
And we are going to line up on the grid here for these red lights, and we're going to do something that we've never done before. We are going to have a rear view onboard shot from the lead driver off this grid at race start, just to see how these drivers get away down into turn 1. It is going to be very intense. And this is the perspective of the lead driver. That's Zmayo on pole position. There it is. Once again, the pit stop strategy for this race. 3, 4, 5 red lights on here. And it is lights out and away we go. Drivers are away. That's Ben the Bear into the lead.
Leichter having an excellent start. He's managed to squeeze past Zmayo, who's dropped to 3rd, I believe. As for the rest of the grid, Shenjay, he's up into 6th, but he's wide through turn 3. Not too brilliant for him. We've already got blue flags shown, which is a curious little visual glitch we've got there. Up at the front, Ben the Bear leads Lytra. Zmayo's down 2 places. He's into 3rd.
Liam in 10th position. He's getting squeezed a little bit there. He was looking for 9th. He's dropped into 11th now. That's Henner's getting out in front of him in the McLaren, and there is a huge battle in this midfield coming through Sector 2 right now. Shenjay goes off wide there in 9th position. He loses out to Henners. Henners is going through. He's looking at Nigel now. Nigel's going to get taken, and that is Liam up through between them. And Nigel's losing out big time here.
Henners up 4 places after all of that kerfuffle, and we've got a huge gap forming between what I believe is 5th and 6th. About 5 seconds, I think. My timing tower is not representative of what I'm saying. Shenjay wide again, this time turn 1. Ben the Bear leads, but my timing tower is all over the place.
It will get fixed, I'm sure, as these drivers continue to cross the line. It looks like we're having a little bit of malfunction here on the timing tower. The tire strategies have also been gummed up here, and I'm not too sure why that is. But hopefully we'll see everything back to normal in just a few moments. The amount of fighting that we've already seen here on this opening lap of this race has been absolutely wild.
Shenjay is down 12 places from the start of this race. Not what he would be wanting for the opening race of the 2020 F1 game. Ben the Bear sets the fastest lap for 106.8. As who is that? Is that Kai Bacchini? Retires. He's spun on the last corner and just been absolutely smacked by someone else coming round that final corner. Nigel's retired as well from that incident, and that is a safety car here at the Red Bull Ring.
Ooh, and there is the Mercedes and Alfa Romeo cars off to the right-hand side, just on the opposite side of the pit wall, and that is not something that you want to see in a race as long as this. That is 2 drivers out here with 71 laps in this race. Only 3 were begun before the incident, and well, it's not something that you want to see, that's for sure. Now we have a safety car deployed, and we're going to get to see a really cool sight here on screen in just a few moments when this grid bunches up, because Codemasters has graced us with the ability to switch to rear view camera whilst along with drivers, so that's also very interesting. But unfortunate for Kai and Nigel, not too sure what happened there between those two.
So someone who's taken advantage of the situation, Shenjay. I don't know how he reacted, whether he was going into the pits or not for repairs. He did go wide a couple of times, dipped into the pits straight after that crash occurred. Whether he was far enough back. We're also seeing Liam in the Williams there. He's hopping into the pits. Ben still leads the race as they approach the back of the safety car there.
Now, it looks as though the tire strategies for the medium runners that we saw begin this race on mediums have not been updated as far as their tire life on our screen. Not too sure if our telemetry is picking that up as well. I'll have to take a moment there. For those of you tuning in, we do have active telemetry happening in the chat right now. If you type MRL, exclamation MRL _ help, it will give you some command options. There they are. You are able to monitor real time the penalties and various other things with these drivers in the race. All you need to do is type in the current running position for the racer.
It looks like we've got a couple of stop-and-go penalties. Henners and Zamus both receiving them for hitting other drivers. So let's through the telemetry again there. In the race director for us. Plenty of warnings here, but yeah, severe collision with Hyper gets Zamus a 5-second time penalty, and It's the same again. This time, Alex Biddo was hit by Henners in the McLaren there. And Alex Biddo received a drive-through for that. Squid and the Williams has also got a 3-second time penalty. As does Fubar in the Racing Point. Other than that, everyone penalty-free at the moment, but there's a lot of warnings out on track. We are running strict corner cuttings for those who weren't here at the start. As we just wait for the last couple of drivers there to reform at the back of the safety car queue. Hopefully everyone else stays contact-free throughout the rest of the safety car. It's one thing I have found with the new games. Safety car stringency does seem to be a little bit harder. Even if you just lightly tap someone with a safety car, you will pick up that penalty. Liam.
Apologies, as I was just trying to get all dialed in with our telemetry there in the chat. Looks like lag might be striking a couple of these drivers under this restart here. Ben the Bear is away. We are flying down through now.
Looks like Zmayo's under a lot of pressure here from the Alfa Romeo behind him. Up, down into turn 1 they go, as well as Extreme. He's up into 9th. He's under pressure from the Ferrari. That's Jasko behind him. Crampy gets a 3-second time penalty. And Shenjie is stopped on the track. He's in the barrier out of the last turn. Fubar goes past It's an Axe into turn 3.
Henners gets through on Squid down through turn 3. Now looking to hunt down Crampy. Crampy looking at Liam.
Got Alex Biddo as well, looking at the inside of the Williams of Squid through turn 4. Not looking like he's going to be able to make it. Extreme receives 3-second time penalty. But here we go, on the left-hander this time. Alex Biddo on that Renault, very aggressive here at the moment, but he's not being able to make the move. Ben has had an astonishingly good restart, almost 1 second clear of his nearest rival with a 106.8 there from the Red Bull driver.
Squid now under threat here. Excuse me, as Alex Biddo has opted to pit. I thought that he was going to go for an overtake there, but he is serving that drive-through.
I guess he just wants to get that out of the way. Obviously, he won't be able to change his tyres in the pits lane. Shenjie gets a 3-second time penalty. He's running right at the back. You can see him coming through the second to last turn now.
Zamis looking at Hyper right now in this fight for 6th. He is on mediums, and I do believe Hyper is on the soft, so interesting for some of these soft runners to stay on those tires. Of course, tire strategy here could be a little different from what we saw last week. Tire wear in F1 2020 behaves far differently than it did in the previous release. As there's tons of battles happening on circuit right now, and I'm just trying to pick one.
Yeah, Shenjie's just come into the pits. I don't know whether that's for a drive-through as well, but he is now lapped by most of the field here, despite the fact that we're only 8 laps in, so what is a very short track as well. So we are going to start seeing blue flags.
It looks like Jean sticking with Zmayo quite well here.
While Jean still sticking with the Mercedes Zmayo. He's not looking like he's able to get past anywhere, but he is on those faster, soft tyres. Obviously, that does also mean that they won't last as long as Zmayo, who picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think we're going to see quite a few notifications pop up at the bottom of our screen there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Penalties in this game, or at the very least in this race, going to be quite common considering the corner cutting strictness. Zamis currently in 7th, trying to gain some position on the Haas driver ahead of him, but now he has the McLaren of Yoda to worry about on his rear. Fortunately for Zamis, he will have DRS coming up through into turn 3.
Henna's on those fresh soft tyres just destroyed Isamax into the final corner. The fresher tyre really benefiting the McLaren there. He's now hunting down Fubar in the racing point. The McLarens right now, both of them are looking pretty strong, with Yoda as well, like you just said. He's on a bit of a hard charge as he picks up a 3-second time penalty. Seems a little bit harsh, he just seemed to go a little bit wide of turn 4. But
I'm sure we could have seen the hand go up in the cockpit on that one for sure when he finds out over the radio that he got a penalty for that one. Of course, he is hunting here. The AlphaTauri ahead of him in Zamis. And I do want to take a moment to talk about one thing, and that is, of course, excuse me, as Fubar and Henners are having a battle.
Henna's 2 places in the same place, 2 laps. But he's lost it down in the run of turn 1. On exit though, he seems to have quite the traction. Although I think we are seeing overtake being used with the Racing Point very much depleting its tank there. Around the outside into turn 3, the McLaren, what an exit.
We have overtakes happening all over the place here. Zamis has lost out to Yoda. Meanwhile, Hyper has gotten ahead of Van Putten. And Fubar and Henners just aren't giving each other any opportunity to breathe here. Meanwhile, they're catching up with Extreme ahead in 10th position.
Alex Bidow's just left the session. He's lacking in 17th right now. He's in a little bit of no man's land. Hopefully he's able to reconnect. The 2 Williams as well, they're fairly close on track down at the back, but Yoda till McLarens are pushing as hard as they can right now, it would appear, as Yoda looks into turn 1. He's too far back to make a move on the Renault of Van Putten, but Van Putten as well, he's got Hyper in his sights. He's just lost the positions perhaps, and now swinging up the inside into turn 3 goes the Renault. He's on the medium combat tyres. He forces Hyper a little bit wide, and that's going to leave the Haas vulnerable to Yoda, who sweeps up the position as well. So Hyper losing 2 positions there to both the Renault and the McLaren. Now into turn 4, Yoda up the inside of Van Putten. They're side by side. Yoda backs down a little bit, and now Van Putten holds on to 5th. Yoda 6th, and Hyper 7th there.
Van Putten under serious threat from that McLaren right now, as Yoda took serious advantage of that exchange between Hyper and him. Zamis starting to drop off a little bit here. Meanwhile, Henners starting to pick up some pace on the Ferrari ahead of him in 9th position.
There's something in that orange car. We've seen it being powerful in real life, and now the 2 drivers with that McLaren are absolutely flying here around the Red Bull ring, as we see Yoda this time around the outside into turn 3, and he's got the move done way before the corner, and he picks up yet another place. That does mean he is without DRS though in the run down to turn 4, so he could be vulnerable to both Van Putten and Hyper. But no position changes as Hyper with a little Van Putten, sorry, with a little bit of a lock-up. Hyper looking a little bit up the inside on an exit, but decides against the move there. Yoda now half a second up though after that mistake. A little bit costly for the Renault, who's now under significant pressure from the number 20 Haas behind him. Back down the grid, Henna.
I feel like I haven't been talking very much this commentary there,
Ooh.
Unicorn. And what is that? What has happened
Hyper.
there?
He's off on the last corner. Don't know what happened. I think he's just spun it. I don't think I didn't see any contact.
I don't believe there's any damage. There is no damage on that car, so he is running with a full front wing right now.
Hugely unfortunate for him. Is he? He's had another issue.
Meanwhile, Yasko has caught up with Zamis, but he has Henners threatening behind. Oh, and we have so many overtaking opportunities happening here. Extreme and Fubar battling right now.
Meanwhile, up at the front, Ben is just tearing away from Lutra. He's 2.3 seconds ahead of the Racing Point, who's 2.7 seconds away from Zmayo.
Henners is going for it on Yasko. He's staying with him. Yasko, a lot of speed in that Ferrari. Henners wasn't able to get it done there, and I have to say, I am surprised, but they are both catching up to the AlphaTauri. That is Zamis in 7th ahead. A little bit of a lockup there from Yasko. Henners on the inside. What kind of exit is he going to have? He's having a great exit as he gets out in front. Beautiful.
I was watching the overtake through that entire battle there. Yasko depleted his entire bar pretty much defending into turn 1, and then out of turn 3, Henners just taps that button and he is gone. There's nothing you can do to defend against someone who's utilizing the full power of their engine. It's just futile. So what an excellent bit of ERS management from Henners there, and that's the first time I think we've evidently seen that good ERS management in this new game is absolutely critical to your pace.
Speaking of pace, he has been gaining a ton of it on that 7th position AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, he has pushed a gap from the Ferrari behind him. DRS once again for the McLaren. Overtake not being applied here. And he is just going to coast ahead of that AlphaTauri into turn 3. Very nicely done there. Not much of a fight from Zamis, as he's on the medium compound tires, but he has DRS again on the McLaren, and he's going to make the move into turn 4. But Henners on the exit gets back out in front.
Whilst that was going on, the Squid in the Williams just came off in turn 1, and Shenjay is just DNF'd, I believe.
Meanwhile, Liam side by side with Crampy right now, coming through sector 2. Liam on the hard compound tires, showing great pace in that Williams at the moment. He looks to hunt down It's a Max ahead. We are only 16 laps through this race. It is a long one, so I hope you have all brought the popcorn, because this action is just getting kicked off. Zamis and Henners still battling here. It is turn 3 once again for these two. And it looks as though we've had a minor interval bug once again. And there's a retirement. That's Squid, who I do believe opted to retire the car in the pit lane. So 4 out of our 20 drivers are out of this one.
Yeah, Squid came off into turn 1 a few laps ago, and he damaged his front wing, left him a little bit vulnerable, so I don't know whether he's just decided that he's no longer competitive in this race. But it's unfortunate to see yet another retirement. Meanwhile, Fubar, he's under a little bit of pressure here from Extreme in the AlphaTauri as they come down towards the second to last corner. Fubar still ahead. Squid's left the session, but now we're going to see the AlphaTauri. He's completely depleted his ERS. Meanwhile, Fubar has a little bit more left in the tank, about 30% there on the charge, and defends into turn 1. He is on those medium compound tires though, whereas Extreme is on softs, both 16 laps old here, having started on them. Thankfully, we could tell through turn 3.
Here it is, Extreme. He's looking for that run, but he gets that battery depleted so quick. He just doesn't have enough in that reserve energy to make it stick just yet.
Both of them are nearly empty on the ERS as Fubar defends on the outside. That will give him Yeah, Zamas is retired from the session. That's a virtual safety car. You can see his Alpha Tower on the left-hand side of the track there.
What has happened with Zamas? We don't have a view just yet. There it is on the left. Oh dear. I do believe that is Valtteri Bottas's grass patch.
Especially mode.
On that inside, so VSC deployed. Unfortunately, no replay feature.
So VSC ends, DRS re-enabled. Yoda and Fubar still at it here. Well, Yoda's not made the move into turn 3 and now finds himself under threat from a very aggressive looking Renault, touching a little bit wheel to wheel as Van Putten locks up a little bit into turn 4, but he gets the move done and dusted through there. Now Van Putten looking up the inside, potentially of the racing point, and he's there. Is he going to be able to get the exit that he needs though? He is indeed Fubar down into 6th, and Van Putten picks up a couple of positions to put him into 5th place, but he decides to pit, and so is...
Oh, and that's Fubar off! You hate to see it! No! As he was battling with Yoda there. Oh my. Well, the pit window is definitely open as that comes across screen. Wow, Fubar. Not what we wanted to see from the German driver after what a long battle he was having from the back of the grid. That was absolutely awful. That gives me flashbacks to Germany, or excuse me, Hungary.
I was about to say, I'm a bit surprised we didn't see a safety car, but it has been deployed. It'll be a little late. So is anyone going to take advantage of it? Zmayo is, and so is Gian. Ben the Bear is already gone, but Gian into the pits, very close to hitting the pit wall, but he's managed to stick it. Oh, Ben did make it into the pit lane. So what are they opting for in terms of tyre compounds here? Ben, a fresh set of mediums for him. Same with Zmayo and Gian there. Lytra going for a fresh set of softs. Yoda's in.
Apologies to the viewers if the camera settings are very glitchy. I'm dealing with a new platform for commentating here with the some of the spectator controls. Of course, they've implemented a few changes. We can now look behind the drivers and left and right on the drivers. So I've been playing with that. Of course, it's an exhibition. I hope you guys have been enjoying some of the camera angles that we've been getting here. But yes, safety car. This is just absolutely crazy. 14 out of the 20 drivers remaining here. 100% distance race. We've seen some great overtakes, and now we've seen some great upset with some of these drivers, unfortunately, not able to finish. Among them, Zamas, of course, the league founder. You hate to see that. I don't remember the last time I saw him retire in a race. Had to be Misfits Discord Championship Season 1, I think, that I saw him retire in a race. Or maybe Austria. Maybe Austria Season 2 might have been the last time that I saw Zamas retire a race. So that's a bit of a shock for me, at the very least.
I'm having a look on his stream. Obviously, like you said, there's no replay feature in game, but he is streaming the game, so I'm having a cheeky look here to see if I can identify what went wrong for the AlphaTauri driver.
While you're doing that, I just want to give a quick shout out to BTFU and Vanix, who both gifted Tier 1 subscriptions in the chat today. Congratulations to, I believe it was Liam, who was the recipient of BTFU's gifted sub, and of course Bois on the gifted sub from Vanix. Congratulations to you both, and thank you for the support as always. We greatly appreciate that, and it just helps us towards putting on giveaways and things like that for the viewers. And we're just glad that everyone's enjoying the league racing action.
Yeah, it hasn't been long since we streamed, but it's felt like forever not having any league racing to get to. As for what happened with Zamus, it just looks like a simple little error. He got out of the corner and his car just, the rear end just span around to the right hand side and he lost it into the wall. Even just a gentle tap lost him his rear right. So an unfortunate retirement for him, but nothing he could have done by the looks of it. He tried to save it, but
Ben the Bear trying to slow the grid down. He might have gotten on the brakes a little too soon there, not too sure, as the safety car is already pretty well through that sector 3 straight section. But the safety car is coming in on lap 21. So we will have green running for lap 22, and the Red Bull is away.
and away he is.
He is very far through.
Meanwhile, further back, we've got Lytra pressuring Gian. Gian's been stuck in third place for a while, but I think Lytra's going to say, you know what, I'll take that role for you, and storms past through turn 1. We've got Hennes there in the McLaren as well. He's looking to potentially take advantage, slipstreaming the racing point out to turn 3. The Haas driver looking very defensive up the inside, but I don't think it's going to be enough as both of them turn on overtake, but Hennes is ahead of the Haas. He might lose yet another position if he's not careful to Jasko in the Ferrari.
The revs on that Ferrari right now are unbearable. Unfortunately, we were on board with him as he was trying to get a good view of this shot between Liam and Van Putten. That's Van Putten up the inside now through Sector 2. Is he going to get that move done on the Williams? It is tight, and he has made it through. Wow, very close racing between the Canadian and the Dutch drivers. That, of course, Van Putten in that Renault. From the Netherlands, we have Liam from Canada, and that was just tight action. John and Jasko, looks like they've had a bit of a scrap as John has pulled off. Yoda is into the pit lane.
Not a good restart for him. He's dropped 3 places. That last one there, he lost to Jasko, so no fault but his own. He went a little bit too much up the inside into the second to last corner, took a bit of grass. That gave him a really bad entrance to the last corner, and he swung around the track. I'm surprised we didn't see him replicate what Fubar did and crash into the outside barrier there. But he's very lucky to still be racing and only lose 1 position from what could have been a very costly mistake for him. Back down the grid though, a huge battle is underway for P9. Hyper very close to the back by Extreme. The Haas potentially looking up the inside into turn 6. He's not going to make the move yet, but you've got is an axe there in 9th. He's defending from the pair of them. Ferrari pulls into the pits. Why he didn't do that under safety car is beyond me, but there we are. Now Extreme and Hyper are fighting not for 10th, sorry, they're fighting for 9th now, with the AlphaTauri leading a train of about 4 cars.
To max onto those soft compound tires there. Hyper up the inside into turn 3. Looks like he's gotten it done for the moment. Is Alex going to do anything with it? Alex almost gets a good exit on that AlphaTauri, but Extreme with a good enough exit on his own to get out wheel to wheel with the Haas driver into turn 4. And that's Alex Bitto fighting now. Oh, and this is a great shot coming down through Sector 2 here. That's the Renault of Alex out in front of Hyper and Extreme. Crampy is in the mix as well.
While this is all going on, Hennes is in a very dramatic fight for P4. He's fighting Jasko, but Gian, he wants the places he lost back. Jasko made the move on Hennes for P4. Meanwhile, Lytra has joined the front 2. Ben may have got an excellent start on the restart, but he hasn't been able to maintain it. Mayo sticking with him fairly well as Hennes dives up the inside of Jasko. A very successful move from him there. I should think we're going to see overtake come into play a little bit here. Ferrari DRS is open. Is ERS going to come into play? It's not.
Jasko on the inside of Henners. He gets that done. John with a great view of all of this action. Henners, is he going to be able to make a move back on the Ferrari coming out through Sector 2? It's very tight racing here. Jean is looking at Henry very close. You can see him there on the rear. And Van Putten is about to join this action as well.
Okay, so I just looked through the race director and there are penalties galore. So as Jasko, a very interesting line down the start finish straight. I'm going to have to refer to the timing chart here, but a huge amount of penalties all across the grid.
Henner's looking at Jasko into turn 3. Up the inside, overtake not being expended too much there. DRS playing a large role. He gets out ahead of the Ferrari, but that Ferrari with a great exit gets out ahead again of that McLaren. Meanwhile, that's Jean in on this action, looking for any kind of gap to exploit. And it looks like he might have one. Jasko with a lockup. Jasko on the inside of Jean, but still on the rear of that McLaren.
One thing that I've noticed between a lot of these battles is every move seems to be very opportunistic. Someone makes a mistake, you pounce, and everyone's just piling on pressure as hard as they can. You've got these 2, 3, 4-way battles for positions, and people are just piling on pressure as soon as someone messes up. They're straight through. That's one thing I found personally with this game as well. That rear end is very twitchy, and it's very important. Your corner exit is paramount to success in this game. And I think we're seeing that here today as the front runners for the first time in a long time in this race are very close. Smayo, overtake, and DRS. We can't see his fuel mix up the outside of Ben the Bear in the Red Bull. He is passed on the timing tower, but he isn't able to hold it around the outside. And Ben finally starting to probably get a sweat on now as he's under threat from Smayo there. And both of them have the Mercedes. The Racing Point of Light Shirt behind him. He's on fresh softs, so he should be. He's on the faster tyres. Whether he's faster on track, yet to be seen in that Racing Point. But
this midfield battle right now is just unbelievable. And Zmayo very close to Ben the Bear there. Luktra on the soft compound tires catching up with him. There's a battle unfolding between the podium sitters, and Jasko is currently the leader of this very long train. Luktra is looking at Zmayo on the softs into turn 3. Up the inside, is he able to make the move? It's tight, Unicorn. Zmayo with a good exit. Luktra with very good traction on those soft compound tires, though DRS and overtake enabled. His battery is quite low. Zmayo, on the other hand, big lockup on the front right.
Man, they're still side by side, but back for the fight for fourth. They're just bumper to bumper. No one's really going for any moves, but they're just single file as Smayo and Leitch are now fighting it out for P2. Leitch is actually ahead now out of Sector 2 and down into Sector 3, and the Racing Point there successfully gains the position. Meanwhile, Jern looking at the inside of the McLaren into the penultimate turn. He is not going to make the move there. I believe it was Smayo last weekend who was very, very fond of that penultimate turn for making moves up the inside.
I can't think back right now. There's just so much action going out on circuit right now. Henner is defending against Jean right now. He's dropping back behind Jasko just a little bit. As I just ate my words, Jean has had a bit of a slip out of turn 3. Henner is still within half a second of the Ferrari ahead, and Van Putten takes advantage of Jean's mistake. He gets out into 6th. Meanwhile, Yoda onto the hard compound tires, currently in 12th position. A driver we haven't had a major opportunity to see yet here in this race, is starting to get himself into the points. He is currently gaining on the AlphaTauri of Extreme for that 11th position. Luktra takes a 3-second time penalty, adding to what I'm sure has been a very interesting and frustrating race for a lot of these drivers as far as the penalties are concerned, given the strict corner cutting. But new game, new rules, and it's just going to have to be something we all adapt to. Here, Van Putten now looking at Henry. He looks to the inside, jumps back behind the rear of that McLaren. Henner is still with Jasko in this fight for 4th position. Jasko at the front of a very long train right now.
As
Van
well up the front,
Putten
Luke
on the outside. It doesn't look like he's able to get that move done. As you were saying,
actually made the
Luktra.
move.
Wow.
On the inside of turn 4. Very, very late overtake. He was up the inside the entire way around the corner, but he never quite made it through. But the exit speed, again, just proving to be absolutely critical. There is an interesting penalty situation, but the on-track action is too much to cover it at the moment, so I think we'll gloss over that for the time being. But it is currently going to affect the end result of this race quite drastically, given how close a lot of these cars are on track.
It's absolutely crazy how close the majority of these cars are on circuit right now. If you just look at the track map, you can see there's little battles all over the place. You can see Liam in 10th position there, just coming across the line now. He's all off on his lonesome, and it's a Max also driving solo at the moment. But other than that, pretty well all of these drivers have another driver in view, whether it be in the rear view or in their way as an obstacle in this race.
It's absolutely crazy. This track has been the source of so much entertainment and excitement over the last few weeks, as Van Putten and Henner's very nearly caused quite a serious collision on the entrance to turn 4 there. The McLaren very, very close to the grass, whilst simultaneously being side by side with the Renault. Neither of them wanted to back down, and neither of them did. But Henner's still in 6th place, not making the move on the Renault, but I'm sure he'll be looking to make that move at some point in the near future. Crampy in the Haas is looking very strong compared to Extreme in the AlphaTauri a little bit further down the grid. Ben's left the session.
Ooh, that's not good for him, as he's going to try to get back into the session. Hopefully he can get an invite back. I do believe backup invites were sent out. Crampy looking to hunt down Extreme for 12th. We saw Yoda got out ahead of the AlphaTauri driver. And Ben is going to continue to drop back down this grid now, as Mayo is into 2nd position as a result. Ben, fortunately, back into the session, and that is Crampy up the inside of Extreme. Meanwhile, Jean and Van Putten having an exchange. It looks like Jean has gotten out ahead of him, but that's Henner's wheel-to-wheel with Van Putten once again here. It is in Sector 2, of course. Van Putten out in front. Little tap into the dirt for the McLaren driver, and that is Hyper, who is in on the action as well. Overtake enabled for him. He's now alongside the inside of the McLaren.
And the McLaren very wide. Henner's there. Very...
Oh, and that's Hyper into the wall. Looks like he had a little bit too much power coming out of the turn. Maybe a little early onto the overtake button was the Haas driver. Not good for him.
That final corner really has been the source of error for a lot of these drivers today. Not really what I was expecting, to be honest. Oh, as Jan goes into the back of the Renault through turn 3, doesn't look like he's going to need damage. He's gone away fairly luckily there. Meanwhile, Henner's behind him, utilising that overtake button. And get up the inside, but very aggressively goes up the inside of Van Putten as well. Forces Van Putten into the gravel, and Jan back past the pair of them.
Dare I say, the Englishman Henners in the McLaren has just Hamiltoned Van Putten there, or was that Alex? I can't tell. He's got both Renaults in the rear views now. But that was quite a dive through into turn 4. Had he been able to keep it super tight to that inside line, that might have been one of the moves of the year, to be very honest. But Fortunately, he had that little bit of a brush up there with the
Oh,
Renault.
Van Putten, no, it's Alex, very wide out of the final corner. He just caught back up to this battle as well. But you were right in saying it was Henner's. He just carried too much speed. He had DRS, he had ERS, I don't know what fuel mode he was in, but he got straight past Gian, and he seemed to just be so dedicated on getting past the Alfa Romeo. He just didn't seem to want to stop when it came to turn 4, and there was a Renault in his way.
I don't know if that was entirely a calculated move, if you will. It may have just been that he lost the braking there as well, but not something that we want to see.
Extreme is the next retirement.
We are at the halfway point in this race only now, and well, unfortunately half the grid is missing here. Van Putten on the rear of Henners.
Up at the front, Zmail and Lightshot into turn 3. Very side by side. It looks like the Mercedes might have had the better corner, but the better exit and straight line speed has to go to the Racing Point, who's up the inside into turn 4. The Mercedes with a big front right lockup. And Lucha there on the soft compound tyres defends and successfully takes first position. Meanwhile, Ben, 4 seconds down after his disconnect. He's got some serious work to put in if he wants to come back into this race, which I'm sure he's willing to put in as well.
Very tough for him as that disconnect 4 seconds back. It's a lot to make up, especially considering the fact that him and Lutra, as well as Mayo, were so close in pace throughout this race in that fight for the top 3 positions. Van Putten still on the rear of Henners right now.
Henners picks up another penalty, and he smacks into the wall.
Dare I say, that's Van Putten. That's Van Putten closing the door for that McLaren to rejoin circuit here as a result of what we saw previously in turn 4. A little bit of back and forth between the Renault and the McLaren here in Austria. But, well, Henner's taken a lot of damage after that one. He has absolutely no front wing left on that McLaren. He is currently in 8th position. He does have the possibility of rejoining this race in the points if he's able to be quick about it in the pit lane.
I'm not quite sure what's just happened at the front. What happened with Henners did cause a VSC, but Lutra and Zmayo were still battling it out under the VSC conditions. I don't know whether Zmayo overtook and was forced to re-give the position, but there we are, everything's returned. Gian receives a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car.
Not going to be happy is the Alfa Romeo driver at all.
That's another thing that's changed for the season. There's 2 Alphas on the grid this year, so we can't just say the Alpha anymore. We have to be specific. The yellow flag in sector 1. It looks like they've come together. The Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo. Are either of them damaged? It doesn't look like it, so both have got away unscathed. But the Renaults, fighting through turn 3, have an opportunity here to leave the 2 red cars behind.
Crampy getting out right next, Liam getting out right next to Crampy here. The tire graphic not working here in the spectator mode, unfortunately. But Liam onto some fresh hards, I believe, unless he was also serving a drive-through.
He's not pitted for fresh hards.
So, never mind, the tire graphic is correct, and he has come out of the pit lane after, and now he's off! It's like lag, or what happened there between the Haas driver and the Williams? But that's Liam.
There in qualifying.
Struggling here. Henners gets through into 9th position. Yellow flag up through sector 2 at the moment. And that is not good.
Drive through. That leaves Jasko to just leave it. He is on 19 lap old soft, so we're not going to see him out for too much longer on those tyres. But now Crampy, he loses his battle with Liam, but he might be able to go toe-to-toe with Gian here if he can make up that ground.
Yoda is now into 10th position as Liam has gone in for a fresh wing and what I assume to be a fresh set of tires.
Meanwhile, up at the front, Zmayo, DRS into turn 1, not looking for the move just yet. But this fighting between the top two has allowed Ben the Bear to close about 8/10 to the two cars in front of him as Zmayo looks up the outside of Lutra. Got those soft tyres on the Racing Point, just having absolute superiority when it comes to through corner traction. And the pink car stays ahead. Zmayo again looking around the outside, but another big lock-up from the Mercedes. That front right, I would love to see the wear on it. He's done that so many times here this evening. And now Ben the Bear chops off another 4/10 off that gap. He is not letting off these two as they approach back marker traffic here. Does look like everything's toning down a little bit. The two Renaults, just over half a second between them now. Zmayo's not looking too aggressive on the Racing Point. We are about to see them go through the 3 DRS zones though. 1 down, 2 to go. There he goes. DRS open again, not looking too tempted by the move. He does go side by side into turn 3, but not very convincingly. He's just staying side by side. You've got to have that corner exit speed to get the move done. And he's just opted to just keep his DRS into turn 4. Have a look, and he's got a much better entrance, but he locks up once more in that Mercedes. Ben must be laughing with all this going on as Lutra defends around the outside. This time into turn 6. And Ben now, 2.2 seconds is the gap to second.
Zmayo, a driver that did not have much of a hard time in this previous season of MRL action at the front of the grid. When he took off, he was pretty well gone in a good chunk of those races. But here in the new handling model, it's clear that he is going to have his work cut out for him in his efforts to pursue a second straight driving title for MRL. As it was him that won Season 2, now he's fighting against Lutra, Ben the Bear. He has not only one driver to contend with, but 2 here in this race, and that, I'm sure, is an absolute delight for the Croatian driver as well.
Yeah, it's something you got to consider, you know, how much fun they must be having out on track. There's nothing worse when you're in a race just sitting by yourself for 20, 30 laps, just lapping around, regardless of what position you're in. So when you're having a battle like this for first, it's got to be one of the most exhilarating feelings as Lutra picks up another 3-second time penalty. As it has cooled out, shall we go over a little bit of the penalty situation? Everyone's got one, so
I imagine some of these drivers in the tens of seconds in penalties at this point in the race.
You are not wrong, my friend. Lutra up at the front, 6 seconds worth of penalties. Behind him, Zmayo, 9 seconds. Ben matches Lutra with 6. Alex Beddoe looking a bit better. He's only picked up a 3-second time penalty as these two have to start passing back markers. But this is where it was getting interesting with that 4-way battle. Obviously, they're a bit separated now. We've got 9 seconds of penalties for Van Putin. Gian has 12 seconds. Jasko has 9 seconds. Crampy and Hennes both are on 18 seconds worth of penalties. And rounding out the top 10, Yoda has 6 seconds worth of penalties at the moment. And we're just over halfway through here at Austria. So we could see plenty more in terms of penalties to be picked up. Also, tyre strategy between the two up the front at least. Ben has used both a soft and a medium, so he can go on to whatever tyre he wants. But both Zmayo and Lutra have only used one compound of tyre at the moment, so obviously both would make a stop anyway, but they are limited to choice. So Zmayo cannot go for another set of mediums until he's gone for another set of something else. If he only wants to, if he wants to go for softs, he might have to go for another 2 stops, because he won't be able to get on a set of softs as far as he needs to, I don't believe. Whereas Lucha could go for a set of hards at some point. But Lucha's going to have to pit soon. 22 laps on those soft tyres. He's going to start feeling the effects of those in the next, I reckon, 5 or so laps in that racing point there. But everything's sort of simmered out for a little bit here at Austria. Everyone's sort of at their time. I say as Henners and Crampy go at it through turn 1. Henners right on the rear bumper of the Haas with DRS. And it looks like he's just going to get the move down on the straight way before turn 3.
Lucha
going to be looking a little bit up the inside.
into the pit lane, getting off those soft compound tires now. Onto a fresh set of medium compound tires is the racing point. And where is he going to come out? That's Alex coming down the pit straight now. Is Lucha going to have enough speed coming out of that pit lane to get out in front of the Renault? And it looks like he does. You can see now on board with Alex, not too far behind that racing point, but the speed that's going to be coming out of that racing point now, Lucha is in a seriously good position compared to those drivers ahead of him right now in this fight for the podium and race win. Ben the Bear, less than a second behind Zmayo now. What a feat it has been for him to make up that gap that we saw accumulate over the time where he was out of the session due to connection issues. Now he's back within a second of our race leader Zmayo, and Hunting is the Red Bull driver. Both of them on the same tire life at the moment. DRS enabled for the Red Bull. Zmayo with a little bit more battery to utilize than the Red Bull driver as well at the moment.
Zmayo and Lucha stopped battling, and still Ben was able to catch up with the leaders here. Obviously, both these two need to pit again for a fresh set of tyres, but Ben continues to impress with his excellent pace, but he's not unmatched here. Zmayo and him both on 24-lap-old mediums, so it is really just who has the outright pace to get them across that checkered flag first. As we see them both getting ever closer, half a second now, the gap between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. A battle we could very well be seeing tomorrow in real life at the Red Bull ring. Ben does appear to have dropped off a little bit from the back of the Mercedes, but presumably he's going to want to sort of... Oh no, he has used overtake coming out of that corner. Both of them pretty much completely depleting their battery, as Ben, DRS really pulling him in. Now, there was a point where it was 0.2 seconds of the gap, but now it's just hovering around 0.3, 0.4. But that Red Bull DRS open once more as he swings up the inside into turn 4. Another lock-up from Zmayo and a little bit of contact. Ben possibly lost a lot of speed through the inside. I don't know whether he just wasn't happy with the contact. He didn't want to go through on a rough pass there, but Zmayo either way holds on to P1 there.
Very intense battling from these two for sure. I'm sure everybody's enjoying it. A lot of people have been wanting to see this battle for quite some time. I'm hoping that some of the drivers there that have retired have the opportunity to see this battle unfold. I know a few of them were among those drivers looking to see this battle. Ben the Bear amongst some of the fastest pad drivers in this game at present, and Zmayo, of course, one of the fastest drivers we've seen from MRL. So it's a nice little battle that we're seeing unfold here. Unfortunately, we won't see Ben the Bear in a full-time position this season at MRL, given the time of the races. Of course, it's extremely late for him right now where he is, so he is, I'm sure, feeling it right now, given how tired he was when I had an opportunity to speak with him earlier today. He's currently dropping off the rear of that Mercedes now, and it looks like it's as a result of a disconnect once again. So, not what we want to see.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Max is just coming for some fresh mediums. Like you said, Ben, he's rejoined now, but he's completely readjusted his sleep schedule for races like this. It just goes to show how much he loves this game. I've been speaking to him a lot today with just him practicing for tonight's race. But it's not tonight for him, really. It's about 5 a.m. in the morning, I believe, where he's at. And somehow he just set a 58-second lap, according to the notification at the bottom there.
Oh,
Somehow
and it looks like
that's accurate.
the AI has pitted Ben for 20-lap-old used soft compound tires, Unicorn, and that is something that I'm sure he's going to be extremely frustrated with when he returns. Alex Bitto in the pit lane now. And it looks as though Alex is coming out of the pit lane on some extremely worn soft tires as well.
47 laps. Is that accurate? Because if that is, that's very impressive. But they're even running, to be perfectly honest.
I'm going to go ahead and assume that is some kind of glitch in the tire life system here.
Yeah.
Because that is extremely outrageous to be on tires of that age. We'd be seeing a puncture quite soon.
Well, it is a new game, and we'll have to expect a little bit as Mayo also comes into the pits for apparently 48-lap-old softs.
Well, it looks as though the tires are the same life as the lap of which he came in on. Because we saw Alex go in for fresh softs on lap 47. So I do believe that that tire life is mimicking the lap for which they entered the pits on. So that's unfortunate.
I see, yeah. It doesn't... I'm trying to have a look to see what's happening on the telemetry, but that seems to be having a little bit of an issue as well. So potentially a couple of issues going on here with the servers, maybe, with everything going on here, but the race is still underway as
Grampy's looking at Yoda right now. I may also have that mixed up. It's very possible that Yoda may have just overtaken Crampy, but I don't believe that's the case. As things have spaced themselves out.
Okay, so yeah, the page has come back now, our telemetry data, and Zmayo is on fresh softs.
Yes, very good.
So I think you are right in your theory that those are displaying the lap that they came in for them on. We're interesting what happens with Gian now. He's just coming for bits, 29 laps. So it looks like it's fixed. He's on fresh softs. Quite a quirky bug there.
I do believe it is just the tower. So I don't know if refreshing the UI will do anything. I just tried, it did nothing. So something that Codemasters, I'm sure, will be aware of. I'm sure I'll try to help and find a feedback forum to let them know. I don't know how many people have had an opportunity to jump into a 100% distance commentary for the new game yet. I imagine not many, considering how new it is.
Yeah, there aren't many leagues, from what I've seen, that have restarted as of yet. This is the first... I mean, obviously this is an exhibition race, but it's the first thing that I've done in relation to any league as of yet in the new game. And so far, it's been an absolutely cracking race. Lightshire currently leads by 1.1 seconds out in the Racing Point. He's on 6 lap old mediums compared to the 4 drivers behind him, all on soft tyres. So you should be able to go to the end on those.
John up the inside of Crampy into turn 1. He looks like he's made that move lean through into 9th position, and he's on those fresh soft compound tires looking to absolutely hunt down this grid. He served a drive-through penalty earlier. Now it's Zmayo on the rear of Luktra into turn 1. Zmayo on fresh softs, following along Luktra on those mediums. DRS coming down through into turn 3. That little tap of turn 2. Up the inside, Zmayo looks Luktra. Goes a little deeper. Ooh, and he's cooked the rear out of turn 3. That's Zmayo getting out in front of him, taking advantage of that Racing Point error. And I'm sure Luktra going to be kicking himself about that one, but he is on those old, or not super old, but those medium compound tires, which I do believe will last him very well until the end of this race. But the question is, will they hold more pace or less pace over those soft compounds nearing the end of this race? And will he be able to keep up with Zmayo well enough for it to matter as well? Because you can see Zmayo on those fresher soft compound tires now, Unicorn, is absolutely flying away from this Racing Point. He's just maintaining DRS into that first turn. He will have it, I'm sure, through out of turn 3 as well here. He's got it through turn 1. If he's able to maintain. Ooh, and yeah, Henners and Yasko looking like they're having a scrimmage back there in 7th and 6th.
And again, battling between Lycra and Zmayo can only mean one thing, and that's Ben the Bear poking his ears up and getting ready to just pounce in that Red Bull. 1.2 seconds behind Lycra now. One thing Lycra's got to be careful of, he's got to cool down those rears after the spin out of turn 3. Obviously hot tyres, not ideal in any situation really. But when you're trying to take high-speed corners, you don't want any influence on the rear tyres to spin around. Jasko doesn't seem to have the pace on Yoda. He is on slightly younger medium tyres and is looking a little bit wayward through turn 4 there. So a little bit of maybe fatigue from the Ferrari driver there. Maybe it's just been a little bit long as Ben has passed Luktra for P2. The Red Bull driver managed to close what was quite a huge gap, so I think that might have been a mistake from Luktra to cost him such a huge amount of time, unless the soft compound tyres really are this much quicker at this stage in the race.
I know Ben was approaching there, and I have to say, I must have blinked because I missed it, as Ben into P2, now looking to hunt down Zmayo after all. 2 seconds is the gap.
Lycra really is dropping off of the back of the Red Bull. His pace pales in comparison to the front 2 right now. He's been so competitive all race long, and now he's dropped back. Still P3, but he's also got a host of penalties. 12 seconds, but Alex Biddo only has 3. So Alex Biddo needs to get within 9 seconds of Lycra, I believe. 10 seconds still separate them in terms of Meanwhile,
John, yeah, he's hunting down Yoda, his teammate from this past season. On those fresher soft compound tires, he's showing so much traction throughout the Red Bull ring here. Yoda has just taken a 3-second time penalty, adding to his tab. John looking up the inside into turn 1. He has the DRS and overtake available. He opts to jump back behind that McLaren. Of course, John, if you're listening, my friend, there's no team orders this time. And he's clearly heard me as he's looking at the inside on Yoda right now. Yoda Not able to do much there against the DRS, but he'll have DRS of his own and his own battery to utilize, and you can just see the power coming out of this McLaren. He's sticking with John. John not utilizing too much overtake himself.
So Yoda actually has the upper hand coming into this battle. Obviously his tyres much older, much slower, being medium versus softs. But Yoda does have a 6-second advantage in terms of penalties on that Alfa Romeo. And there's only 15 or so laps left here this evening as well. That's sort of mirrored up the front to a lesser extent. Ben has 6 seconds less penalties than both Lutra and Zmayo. So right now 3 seconds behind the leader. He's got 3 seconds to play with though. So Zmayo really needs to put his foot down, and he is doing so to retain that top spot when it comes to the podium ceremony. But Yoda now does appear to be falling off the back of that Alfa Romeo. And this is actually, unfortunately, as much as this is Gian on the back of a Ferrari, it's not the Ferrari he's battling for P7. It is the backmarker of Itamax, the last running car that's still going. 8 retirements so far in this race, so we are staying fairly true to life.
I have to say, yeah, I can't be that disappointed considering that we saw 8 drivers. Was it 8? I do believe it was 8 drivers retire last weekend, or was it 9? It was even more than what we've seen here. Yes, that's right. So 9 drivers retired last weekend in Austria. We've seen 8 here in this MRL exhibition. A mixture of crashes and, well, crashes. You hate to see it, but it is what it is, and I'm sure all of these drivers will have a lesson learned as a result. For those of you that are tuning in, my name is Striffium, and joining me is Unicorn. Make sure you hit that follow button. We are going to be live quite often in the coming weeks and months, considering our season is about to kick off July 23rd here on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. CDT. Or no, I'm completely mistaken in that. 4:15 p.m. CDT. Okay. Season July 23rd on Thursday, 3:15 CDT, as well as I believe that is 9:15 p.m. BST for Tier 2, and then 5:15 CDT / 11:15 p.m. BST for Tier 1. There we go. I got it, Unicorn. I got it. You can tell I'm out of practice. It's been a week or 2 since our last official MRL race.
Oh, a Gian and... Oh my goodness, a huge crash. Both of them synchronized spinning. Neither of them retire, amazingly enough.
Wow.
Well, that is Gian and Jasko.
Unbelievable collision for those 2 drivers as a VSC has been deployed.
I'm surprised. That was a huge crash. Gian on the outside.
What is Lutra doing?
That's a penalty.
What on earth happened there? What on earth is Lutra doing? He is a front runner. I don't know if he was slowing down because there was a blue flag being waved or what on earth happened there.
Zmayo receives a drive-through. That's huge.
Oh my. And the VSC has just come in. There is just under 10 laps remaining, or just over 10 laps remaining.
So Ben just needs to keep it clear, keep it clean, and if he does so, he's just been handed this race on a silver platter. His main rival, Zmayo, receives a drive-through penalty. His other picked up 5 seconds under the VSC. Meanwhile, he's on reasonably fresh softs, I believe. Obviously, that little glitch there, so I can't tell quite how old his tyres are. Gian retires from the session in the pit lane. But Ben's left, though, so he has suffered another disconnect.
That's huge for Zmayo as he's come out 6 seconds behind on these mediums.
wondering whether Lutra is going to serve. Oh, Ben's back. He's lucky he's done that so quickly as well, because he lost already 1 second to the cars behind.
Excuse me, I couldn't believe what I was saying there. Zamayo came out 6 seconds behind Lutra, who was also 6 seconds behind Ben himself. It's a mountain to climb for Zamayo, and there we have another glitch of the timing tower, unfortunately.
Zamayo as well has 6 seconds more.
Oh, and Henders is out.
What happened to him?
And he's off. Looks like just outside of the final turn here on the circuit.
Yeah, he is. He's off out of turn in a slightly different place to where we saw Fubar. VSC again. Here.
Wow, so Jean has retired. We're down to 10 drivers remaining in the running with 10 laps to go.
This has been an utterly crazy race. This, like I was saying earlier, you cannot complain about the Red Bull Ring. It's provided so much drama over the past 2 weeks here. Whether it's been in virtual space or in the real life racing. Absolutely crazy. As we're under yet another virtual safety car. Second or third of the sort. Plus we've had 2 safety cars. Obviously safety cars were pretty prominent in last week's Austrian Grand Prix. And also today in the F2 race, Yoda received a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car.
Oh my.
That could put him in under pressure from Crampy. He's also going to lose him a lot of time with his battle with Van Putin as well. But the McLarens were doing so well at the start of this race, and the last few laps have cost them dearly. One retired, caused a safety car, virtual safety car. The other then goes and speeds under it.
Did Zamayo take 2 drive-through penalties? Because he has just exited the pit lane once again without any alterations to his vehicle, whether it be wing or tires, and has come out in 4th behind Alex Bitto. Ben the Bear also pit
Did he pick another one up?
for fresh tires, it would seem.
He did. He picked another one up under the second virtual safety car.
Oh my. The Mercedes is not going to be impressed with that, I'm sure. Currently less than 2 seconds separating him and Alex Bitto ahead.
Lutra is somehow 9 seconds ahead of Ben the Bear. When did that happen?
Well, Ben had to pit, or maybe he had left. I believe the AI had pit Ben. So now Ben is trying to cut through back markers.
It's not an impossible crack. Oh,
Oh man.
Oh, Ben's out. That's a retirement.
Crampy
Ben
has
comes
just
with him.
straight out taken out Ben the Bear. Unfortunately, ghosting, for those of you completely unfamiliar with the MRL, is not enabled in our races. So I don't know if Crampy or Ben was at fault for that one. I do believe both of them are aware. But the race leader, well, the potential race winner, excuse me, has just been removed from this race after 63 laps here in Austria. And that, I can guarantee you, will be under steward review regardless of whether or not it's whether it is an exhibition. So we will be looking at that, and I'm going to tell you right now, if there was any foul play involved there, well, that may be the last time you see, well, we're not going to go into that. Let's enjoy the race. Zamayo in 3rd position, hunting down Alex Bitto for 2nd position here.
Alex Bitto is in a very strong position right now. Obviously, we can't see either of their tyres, but Alex Bitto has managed to get through this race with only 3 seconds worth of penalties picked up. Meanwhile, Zamayo behind him, 15 seconds, and Lutra in front of him, 12 seconds. So, depending on his pace in the closing laps here, Alex Bitto is definitely on for a strong podium finish, if not possibly a win if he can close the gap to Lutra enough. So that Renault, a little bit of a left field front runner here this evening, but after all this events, he's kept his nose clean, and he's now in contention for a good haul of points here in Austria. So 9 drivers left. Lapping round the Red Bull Ring. And they've got 6 laps remaining out of 71. It is going to get, depending on your time zone as well, that people, they might be getting tired, they'll be exhausted. Like the likes of Ben, he's up at goodness knows what hour in the morning for this. Been up all night. Maya passing more back markers here in the Mercedes. But it can be hugely demanding a 100% race, even though it's not, I mean, you don't have the G-force of a real life car. If you're using a wheel, you've got force feedback to wrestle with. If you're on a controller, you've got to hold that fairly small object in your hand for about an hour and a half, so it can be quite taxing on the drivers, and it's definitely an endurance game when it comes to 100% races.
It's a huge commitment of time for sure. 12 seconds in penalties for Lutra. Mayo with penalties on his own as well. He has 15 seconds.
Yeah, so realistically, this gap between first and second right now is 18 seconds. So it would take a miracle for Zmayo in order to get him up on the top spot of that podium. He is pulling away from Alex Bido with strong pace though. But again, it would take extraordinary pace for him to beat that Renault on penalties. Crampy as well. He's got 30 seconds of penalties in that Haas, according to our data. So he right now is finishing in 8th, I believe, depending on the other penalties as well, actually, because Jasko in the Ferrari's got 15 seconds, but that would still put him ahead, actually. And Liam's only got 6 in the Williams there. Liam's been pretty consistent in the race. He was spinning out a little bit in qualifying, but obviously the wet conditions, maybe the dries, really fitting his racing style a lot better. We saw him come off of turn 4 once, but other than that, not too shabby for the Williams driver. 8th place at the moment. But Lutra leads. Zmayo, who was trailed by the 2 Renaults of Alec Bido in 3rd and Van Putten in 4th. Yoda's in 5th, Crampy 6th, Jasko 7th, Ian in 8th. And Isamax, the last currently lapping car, in 9th place. Again, we're seeing Zmayo locking up into turn 4. He's clearly still getting used to the new game. That's not going to be too great for his tyre wear, and definitely something he's going to have to work to improve upon. It looks like Crampy and Jasko are potentially going to have a little fight here, although
I believe Jasko just got out ahead there of him. That is the Ferrari of, I want to say, it's a Max. Trying to unlap himself.
Looks like he's definitely got the pace on that Haas. Obviously, it's not for position, so he has no real reason to go for the move. But if he's got the pace, he is entitled to.
Alex Bido on for a race win right now. He's only got 3 seconds of penalties, apparently, according to the telemetry data. If the chat in stream is correct.
He is indeed. He's 16 seconds down on the leader right now, which puts him 7 seconds behind a race win. So it would take quite a monumental drive for him to take the win, but a 2nd place is definitely on the cards for him here this evening. But what a dramatic race it's been as Lutra crosses the line. 3 laps, remaining, including the current one for the leader.
It has been a very dramatic race. Obviously, you can see the story that has been told here. 9 drivers remaining here out of the 20 that began. Long race, 71 laps is the duration, and we've seen our drivers do 69 of them thus far. And, well, it's been quite a large amount of drama, upset, fast overtaking, great action, and it's pretty well had everything. We've had a full safety car, a few VSCs, a multitude of crashes, collisions, exchanges, overtakes, you name it.
Yeah, one thing with the DNFs, a lot of them were just driver error, so I think in part that's the new game, the new handling model. People just struggling to get to grips with the new game. Obviously, like we said earlier, people have had it for a varying degree of time and have invested a various degree of time into the game over the past week. You know, obviously depending on other commitments. So I should think as time goes on, races have fewer and fewer retirements. That's what you'd hope to see anyway, but we've definitely started F1 2020 with a bang here at Austria as we approach the last couple of laps here around the Red Bull Ring.
Zamayo 10.5 off of Luktra right now here on the penultimate lap. Alex Bitto 5.3 off of him. Going to be interesting to see what kind of finish we have as far as all of these penalties on screen. So far it's Luktra, Zamayo. Oh yeah, you saw it too, that little slip out of turn 4.
Again, we can't. Apparently, Alex Bitto is on 90 lap old softs for me. And Zamayo's on 89 lap old softs. I should have taken a note as to when they pitted for them. I think it was around somewhere in the 50s. So
yeah,
these tires are still quite old.
You know, the game has got a couple of little glitches and issues when, well, the second position and third position drivers are driving on tires older than, well, the amount of laps even drivable in the session.
It's older than F1 itself, because F1 is celebrating its 70th birthday. So.
I see what you did there. Luktra, in the Racing Point, coming out of turn 4 right now in Sector 2, has had a fantastic drive here. He has shown great pace. Of course, this race without its ups and downs for everybody involved. Off, looking like he's going to capture a win here. At the very least, a win on track, Unicorn, as Penalties is going to come and play a role for quite a few of these racers. Luktra now rounding that final corner, looking to take home the win. He crosses first. Is he going to remain first? That's Mayo in second position now, rounding the final corner.
I believe Lutra's going to hold on to the race win, but I don't think Zamayo is going to hold on to second place as Alex Bitto crosses the line. Is he going to take that spot?
And it looks as though Zamayo is holding on to second position, at the very least on my timing tower.
Yeah, he is at the moment. That surprised me, I can't lie.
That's Yoda in 5th, Yasko in 6th, Van Putten now taking a 3-second time penalty on the penultimate turn. Is he going to get any kind of advancement? No, he will not. So he is into 4th position there, and that is our grid. Those are the 9 finishing drivers here in this race. Yoda, there you can see on screen, finishing 5th here in the McLaren, and Yasko secures driver of the day. Of course, driver of the day awarded to the driver who made up the most positions.
He made a lot of positions too, 19th to 6th. Or 20th to 6th, according to our information. So potentially 13 or 14 places gained in the race for the Ferrari driver, as the top 3 celebrate on the podium there.
And there we have it, the final results. Luktra with the wins, Mayo in 2nd, Alex in 3rd, Van Putten 4th, Yoda in 5th, Yasko in 6th, Liam 7th, Crampy in 8th, and It's a Max in 9th. And a shout out to Ben the Bear, who finishes this race classified as DNF in that 10th slot. He was on for a potential win here until an incident between him and the Haas driver of Crampy took him out of contention. Henners also off to a strong race, retired later on. And throughout the rest of these drivers, we have Jean, Extreme, Hyper, Fubar, Zamis, Squid, Shenjay, Nigel, and Kaibachini, all unfortunately unable to finish in regulation here, retiring far too soon, it would seem. And the final time, 83 minutes for the race for Lutra. So, penalties. Well, it is a long list of warnings and an even longer list of penalties. As you can just see, we're only halfway through the race now, and we're still scrolling through. But that final classification, I am going to go ahead and say, as a result of penalties, is bugged, I do believe.
Yeah, I'm convinced Alex Biddo is deserving of the second place. From what even the time on the right-hand side of the finishing screen here is saying that he's got 12 seconds less worth of penalties compared to the Mercedes of Zmayo. So I don't quite understand how he hasn't inherited that second position, but I guess that's one to watch for the replay.
Well, that is going to wrap up our second ever MRL Endurance Series race. That it was, of course, the Austrian Grand Prix here. For our second race, we did our first one last week. It was Austria then as well. We're following along with the F1 calendar as it unfolds throughout this season. So we did Austria last week in 2019, and we've done it once again here in the 2020 release. And I do believe next week we're going to see our drivers take on Hungary, as well, as that is the next round, if I'm not mistaken, in the Formula One World Championship.
It is indeed.
But to everybody that joined us today, greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the race. My name is Stryfium. Joining me is Unicorn. And, well, Unicorn, how did you find that race overall before we say goodbye to our viewers?
Again, just absolutely incredible. You have constant drama, it seems, whenever the real life F1, and whenever anyone goes to Red Bull Ring, there's drama. You're not going to have a boring time, regardless of the length of the race, and I think we saw that again there. We saw, at the start of the race, we saw Ben very strong. We saw the two McLarens, they were very strong as well. They were carving their way through the field. Obviously, then you start to have the DNF season. People crashing out left, right, and center. You know, that causes safety cars, virtual safety cars, strategy changes, etc. And then towards the end there, Lutra's strategy really seemed to pay off for him. Those soft tires really gave him the edge. Penalties came into it as well. Alex Biddo proving that being less aggressive in some cases can cost you, or not cost you, but gain you a lot of time and subsequently positions. So a strong podium drive from him for sure. But overall, an excellent race. It was a joy to commentate throughout there with you.
I just want to say, Unicorn, thank you, because you pretty well, from my perspective anyway, you pretty well carried me in this commentary. Unfortunately, somewhat of a migraine today, keeping me off the microphone as much as I would have liked to have been, considering how nice of a race it was. Thank you for stepping up and saving me today. So, and you know, that's a long race, 100% distance, of course. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have a few things I'm going to be having to take a look at post-race, of course, and write a few things down as far as bugs. But to everybody that tuned in, we greatly appreciate you here being with us, and I am going to take this opportunity to say July 23rd, MRL Season 3 kicks off. It is going to be the Australian GP Tier 2 and Tier 1 racing going to be happening then. So if you're looking for information on that, jump on Twitter, jump on Discord. We have a great chunk of community participation in our Discord. Of course, it's the Misfits community Discord where we run the league out of. So if you guys aren't already members of our Discord, I highly, highly recommend you guys check that out. But without further ado, we are going to wrap that up for today. We're going to head on over and raid Mr. Zamis, who unfortunately had an early retirement in this race. But I think he is doing some My Team stuff right now, and he is quite a fast boy. It's a real shame we didn't have an opportunity to see him finish out through in this one. But any last words for the viewers, Unicorn?
Not really. I think it's just stick around. I think tomorrow is going to be a very exciting day, IRL racing, and then obviously another 100% here at MRL next weekend. So I think it's just a very exciting time to be an F1 fan. Obviously, the first international sport to come back after everything. So, the new game, the new season. It's just a very exciting time.
Very, very exciting. And with that, guys, everyone have an excellent evening. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't followed, please be sure to hit that follow button. I promise you, you will not be missing out on any racing action this season, as we have a ton of races coming your way. 44 regular season races coming your way just to start with our 2 divisions, and a lot more on top of that with all of these endurance races. And we have a couple of other things up our sleeve coming for you in season 3 as well. So once again, my name is Stryfium. Joining me was Unicorn. We're going to head on over and raid Zamis, and we hope all of you have a fantastic, fantastic evening. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you smash that like button to let us know, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more great racing content. We are live on Twitch every week on twitch.tv Misfits Racing League. Hit us up in the description below for our Discord and Twitter links as well. Always looking to get connected on those, and if you're interested in joining the MRL, Discord is the place to be. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.